Hi, it's Andrew Eborn here with another edition of Lives on Lockdown, and I'm delighted that my guest today is Julia Morgan. How are you, Julia?
Hello, not bad, thank you.
Good, wonderful, wonderful. So tell me how you have been coping in these extraordinary times.
Extremely
Good, what have you been
well,
up to?
actually, I think. Yeah, good Lord. Talking to friends online, using a lot of Zoom to do that, playing video games, colouring in colouring books, bit of sewing, bit of calligraphy, trying to be a
I love
producer.
calligraphy. It sounds beautiful. Do you have something to hand that you can show us? Because literally, it is so beautiful and takes
Lovely.
it. Hold it up. Let's have a look. Bit of calligraphy. I always like this when people are at home and they learn these new skills. This is what I've been trying to get people doing: is play around. You've disappeared, Julia. Come back.
Just sort of thinking, have I got something that isn't
You've got something.
embarrassing?
Let's have a look. So what I'm just saying, Julia, what I love about these times is people are learning new skills. And I've been encouraging people to do everything from learning chess, even to wrestling. And we've got that sort
Nothing
of. Oh, here we
embarrassing.
go. Right, hold this up. Let's make a noise.
A
Let's have a
little
look
bit
at
of
that.
practice there.
No, beautiful. And how long
Nothing
have you been
specially
doing that?
difficult. Oh, about a year and a couple of months.
Okay. So
Is
tell me, I mean, you are a fascinating character. And the
right?
reason I say that is that I met you through
Hmm.
Jonathan Hansler, who's a
All right.
regular on the show. We do all sorts of things like canned laughter together. He's been a chum for years and years and years. But you set up the Jonathan Hansler fan club. Tell us about that.
It's tiny. It's tiny. I wish it was bigger. I actually set it up by accident. You know how Facebook presents you with these opportunities to do things.
Yeah,
And
sometimes. And it also presents you with opportunities to mess things up. I think that's the problem.
indeed. And I accidentally pressed yes. Well, I meant to press no. It's not that I never intended to do a fan group for Jonathan. Look, he's the most brilliantly talented actor, amazing,
Oh, wait a minute,
stunning.
backtrack on that. So there was a button asking if you wanted to set up a fan group. Is that right?
Yes, and I'm not
Oh,
even sure what
glorious. I've never
happened
seen such a
because I
button.
was half
Oh, I
asleep at
love
the
that.
time. No, I
Oh, I'll tell
was
you what, I
intending to
add
do a
people on
fan
fan
group,
club button.
but
I will be the one and only member. Just block everybody else. I didn't know there was such a button. Oh, brilliant.
Yes, so there it went. I thought, oh well, that was a bit sooner than I expected because I wanted to get things set up in advance, you know. But I thought, well, might as well run with it, and just doing what little I can to boost
No,
Johnny's
but you do a
online presence.
phenomenal job. I love seeing what you do for Jonathan and things like that.
Oh,
But I didn't know until this moment. This is what I love about the show. This is like it's the moment when you open the kimono and a little revelation comes out. It's breaking news. So it was all to do with a button on Facebook. And it's
a button on Facebook.
so what happened? You must have been saying lovely things about Jonathan for the algorithms and the clever little computer stuff to pick it up.
Possibly. I don't really. I've been using Facebook for a long time and I still don't quite understand how it works. The pages, for example.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how those work. But I muddle through, you know.
Well, the good thing is, Julia, what I've done in these extraordinary times is I've got access to experts because everybody's sort of sitting at home saying they're not doing much. So I've got some tech people who are coming on and explaining really basic stuff like which browser to use, which video platforms to use. But also, if you've got some questions, we should ask them. Let's go through Facebook, what that does. But that is the first time I have ever heard anybody say if you post something nice about somebody often enough, you get a little pop-up button saying, would you like to set up a fan club? I've never heard it. I love it. I love it. You haven't just done...
This was about 4 years ago, so they
Good
might not have it
heavens.
now. But I just remember thinking, I didn't mean to do that.
Oh,
There it
no.
was.
Oh, my goodness. And then was I thinking you were the super fan. And what's worse, so that means that all these people are being asked, would you like... And I know this. I know the feeling, Julia, because you don't want, as a friend or whatever, an acquaintance of Jonathan, to say no, because that sounds rude, doesn't it? It's like, but
That's
anybody
also
phones
a
up. I
point.
phone
That is
up various
also a
people.
point.
So I phone up various people and they will say, oh, would you like to speak to John? Or would you like to speak to Jane or whatever? And you know that John or Jane are hearing that conversation. And you know that if you say no, it sounds really rude. So in the same way, this glorious Facebook button with a fan page, I think it's brilliant. But tell me then, because you haven't just got Jonathan, you've got John Sessions as well. What happened about John?
No, that one no longer exists.
Oh no! What happened?
I found out that Mr. Sessions really, really hates Facebook.
Oh, okay. How did you find that out?
Can I sort of pause you for a second? Can you
Oh,
pause?
do you want to plead the fifth? You can plead the fifth. That's okay. We don't do pauses. Plead the fifth. Is that okay? We won't mention John doesn't like Facebook, so we are moving on from there. But that was a similar thing.
Moving on from there.
Tell me one thing. Was that a pop-up button, or did you like him anyway? Want to set up the fan club?
That one I did deliberately.
Oh, so that's good. So that was the one. Having found
the
out
Boris Karloff one, the Vincent Price one, the Todd Slaughter one, the H.L. Wakefield. I've got so many.
You've got loads of fanbook pages.
Oh yes, I've got about 12.
Okay. So run us through. Who is your? Okay, we can do a top. We can do a rundown. There's only 12. It's not that many. Who have you got? Let's run through them.
Vincent Price.
Vincent, oh, come on. And I love that horror thing. You sent me something today on the 1 minute horror things, and I'll come on to that. So Vincent Price, I love horror.
That's Hex Studio.
Hex Studio.
That's not a group that I run. That's just a group that I belong to.
Okay, that sounds good. I like it already.
Boris Karloff, which is
Boris Karloff. There's a pattern here, Julia. There's a pattern. Boris Karloff.
Todd Slaughter.
So
many people do not know who he is.
And so tell us about him.
Big horror star of the 30s and 40s.
A horror movie star of the 30s and 40s.
Oh yes, he's almost completely forgotten. He was the original Sweeney Todd. Started off as a stage play.
And then
they made it into a movie.
Set that up for him as well. That is superb. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are you on these fan book pages? We're going to put all the links in the description later on.
Oh, good.
I love people who put people on the map. I think it's so brilliant. Okay, 3 from horror. Keep going.
Burgess Meredith.
Burgess Meredith.
Oh yes, you should see him in the original of Mice and Men. He was wonderful.
I love a bit of Steinbeck, and I'll tell you what, it's a really good thing. And I felt so sad that moment. It's not a spoiler because most people will know about this. Is when that mouse, and you get the gentle giant who loves the mouse so much that he crushes it in his hand. That for me is
it's one of the saddest moments ever in movies.
Isn't it? And all of the emotions come flooding through on that sort of wonderful, the brilliant writing of Steinbeck. So well done. I've signed up for that one. Okay, who else?
Now, H.L. Wakefield.
Okay, all good.
Ghost story writer. E.F. Benson, another ghost story writer, but he's also known for Map and Lucia.
Okay.
So he did social satire as well. He also did some romances. He's a mixed bag there. Robert H. Barlow.
Tell me about him or her.
He was a protege of H.P. Lovecraft. He fell out after Lovecraft's death. He fell out with some of Lovecraft's other friends. So being absolutely devastated by this, he reinvented himself, moved to Mexico, learned Spanish, learned Nahuatl, made himself an expert in pre-Columbian architecture, and had a whole separate life and career.
Oh, fantastic!
Life of two halves.
I love it. I love it when people reinvent themselves, because what you find, and they always quote this in Chinese, the word for danger or threat or whatever, and tragedy is the same word as opportunity. And I quite like the yin and the yang. So when we're talking about this lockdown, extraordinary times, people opening up to new skills is fantastic. So I love people who reinvent themselves.
Well, the only word for danger in Mandarin that I know is Shaoxin, which means small heart. So they've probably got loads of words for it. What do I know?
No, well, you don't. You know that Shaoxin is good. That means small heart.
Yeah, and danger.
Oh, it does. So it does mean the both.
Yeah, danger, but it's all it's two little symbols, put together for
I know, because
means
that's right.
danger.
The language, and this is the other thing I love is how language evolves.
Mm.
Because if you learn a language, like in Japanese, I remember they would teach me. So hashi, I think, is like a little forest, but the
Mm.
symbol for it, it looks like, so symbol for a tree. It looks as
Mm.
though the Japanese character,
Yeah.
it looks like a tree. Yeah.
Mm.
And so if you want a forest, it's like two of them, and it's brilliant. And you can follow the way that language, talking about calligraphy and earlier on, are fascinating stuff. So
Yeah.
you study all of that as well, do you?
I've been learning Mandarin for a while, but I'm not very good at it.
Oh, that's it.
Languages
Don't
are
worry
not
about not
my
being good at it.
strong point, but I've always been fascinated by them. You know, so as well as a small kid, didn't have much money, so you can bring up the violin there. But there's two books in the house, the King James Bible and the Concise Oxford Dictionary, and I read them over and over and over again.
We have. Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah.
Do you write as well?
Oh, I do book reviews for Occult Detective Quarterly.
Occult Detective
And,
Quarterly. Oh, that sounds interesting.
I don't get paid, but it's because it's a small circulation, but it is a beautiful magazine. You can get hard copies or
Small
an
but
e-copy,
beautifully formed.
whichever
So
you
what was
want.
the last, tell me the last book you did. What was the last book you reviewed?
I totally can't remember. This is
An
embarrassing.
unusual title? It's an unusual title, The Memory Loss of the Occult.
Because you see, my absolutely lovely editor, Mr. Dave Zeski, sends me books to review, and I do them and send them off, and I promptly forget about them.
Oh, I understand. But if somebody wanted, we'll get back to your fan base in a minute, but if somebody wanted a really good book, what would be your top recommendation at the moment? If they wanted to start, first time.
Okay, Adam Neville's Last Days.
Adam Neville's Last Days. And is it a play on words? Is it the last time he was dazed? Or
No,
was it,
it's about a kind of apocalypse.
Oh, a kind of apocalypse. Okay.
Well,
What
it does.
kind?
Well, I can't spoil the plot.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay.
I
Don't
can't spoil
the
the plot. Basically, you have a filmmaker and his two friends investigating a cult, which
Okay.
committed suicide in the United States about 40 years previously.
Is this a true story?
Oh, no, it's not a true story. It's all fiction.
I was going to be appropriately
fictional
somber.
film crew investigating a fictional cult. But it's got all kinds of, what I'm saying is really scary.
It is
really
scary.
Bizarre. It's twisted. It's lovely. I strongly
Twisted
recommend
and lovely.
read
Is that
it.
what you like? Do you like twisted and lovely?
Oh, yes. Well,
Okay,
right, John.
okay. No, a bit of the bizarre, a bit of the things that stretch the imagination. I think that's all good. Okay, so those are the books. We'll put the recommendations there. Well, what you should do, Julia, actually, is that if you're writing as well, maybe you should pop onto this program. You can give us the video version of the review. Would he let you do that? Or does he have an exclusive?
I haven't reviewed the Adam Neville for Occult Detective Quarterly. Oh, I wish I could have.
Oh, right. Well, maybe. Well, that's good. Well, you can do it here.
remember.
So we could have a little book review things on the occult. Will you do that for us?
I don't do anything on the occult. I do fiction. I read fiction.
Okay. But will you do it
I
for fiction?
occasionally read history.
Okay. Well, will you do some little book reviews on fiction for us?
If you want.
Yeah, fantastic. There we are. Another successful strand.
I'm just afraid I'm sort of alienating friends if I do that.
Oh, will you alienate friends? Well, I'll tell you what I did. So as you've seen that you're a regular of the series and you write such lovely things about to it personally, and then soon your fan little button will pop up for the Andrew Eborn show, which I love. What you have to do for friends, and what we do on this program, is we bring people back together, because so many people, friendships disappear, they don't talk to each other, and normally what I say, Julia, is it's because of some terrible misunderstanding. So often, perception and reality are not aligned. So what I say is we should question everything. If somebody falls out with you, and it invariably happens, especially with social media, talk to them directly about it. And I am sure that you'll be able to find a way to resolve things. Because in this day and age, we're losing people all the time. And the biggest regrets people have is that they have unfinished business. And I love the idea. If this is the last day we have on this planet, wouldn't it be great to turn around and say, we've mopped up all that unfinished business, to pick up the phone and say, look, I love you to you, I'm sorry to you, let's talk about it. It was a misunderstanding. Let's do that. The world will be a better place, won't it?
If people would talk, I think it probably would be.
Okay, good.
You can't force people. You can't force people to talk if they don't want to talk.
Oh, you'll be surprised what I can do, Julia Morgan. It's gonna be... We have ways of making you talk. That's all we say here. So go back to your list. I want to do the fan club list. Let's have the low. That's very large.
Have I said everybody?
You only
Michael
said 4.
Ironside.
Who?
Michael Ironside.
Michael Ironside. Very good. Tell me about him.
You
Headlines
must
on
have
him.
heard. Oh, good grief. I can't believe you haven't heard of him.
For
He's
my
this
one viewer,
wonderful
give me the
Canadian
headline
actor.
on each of them. Yeah, Michael Ironside.
Wonderful Canadian actor. I believe he now lives in Hollywood. But he's been a horror star. He's been in science fiction films. He's played opposite Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. He nearly always plays the bad guy.
Okay.
He was Darryl Revick in David Cronenberg's Scanners, which is just mind-blowing film in more ways than one. And Ham Tyler in V. He's just been in so many things.
So I can see he's got a fan page. Who else?
I think that might be it.
Well, that's only 6. But I'll tell you what we'll do. You'll send me the links. I'll put them all in the description of this little video, and then people want to follow it, and then they can have a look at that sort of stuff. Now, you also sent me a number of trailers which you're doing for horror movies, horror bits and pieces.
Well, I'm
1
not doing
minute
that,
festival, that sort of stuff.
I'm
Tell me
not
about a
doing
couple
that.
of those coming up.
Well, I'll talk about basically, if you have Patreon, if you're a creative person, you have Patreon, so you can make money basically because people subscribe to your Patreon. Well, I subscribed to Hex Studios Patreon, level 3 tier, level 3 that makes you a Patreon producer, so you get a producer's credit at the end of every one of them.
That's what you meant when you sent me a note saying, I'd love to be on the show, and by the way, I'm also a producer now. That's what you're referring to.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to, and many people say that's not a real producer.
Well, don't forget what other people say. I don't care. I don't care what other people say. I want to hear what you say.
It's a start.
It's a
I'm
start.
basically
Never
helping them raise the money that they need to make the movies they want to make.
Perfect. I'm happy for people to have labels.
At the moment.
And I'll tell you, another big beef of mine is if I go into, or anybody goes into with appropriate authority, a classroom of 5-year-olds and says, who can paint? Everybody but everybody put their hands up. You go into a room full of adults and say, who can paint? They all sit there all embarrassed and things like that. So what I want to try and do through this platform and various other conversations is to encourage people to go out and try things. So just as with your calligraphy, and just as with your producing, to turn around and say, I'm a producer. You are a producer because you're going to produce stuff.
Did I mention my YouTube channel?
No, go for that as well. I love a shout out for your YouTube channel. What's that about?
I've got a YouTube channel. I read ghost and horror stories, and sometimes I sing.
Oh, I love it. And I'll tell you why, because it ties in with my other guests. There's a guy called Richard. You might have seen him. He's a regular, Richard Jones, who was the historian on Derek Ancora. Do you remember that whole series about the ghost series? And he would talk about that sort of side. So there's a real theme there. So have you seen a ghost?
Not as far as I know.
Okay, so what do you talk about on your channel?
I read horror stories and ghost stories.
And ones that you write, or ones that other people?
Oh, God, Lord, no, I don't write. I only do that little Occult Detective Quarterly thing. That's the only writing I do. No, I record stories by other people.
Okay.
Most of them are by dead authors, like H.R. Wakefield.
Very good.
He
should have a fan group. Oh, he does.
He does. Robert Barlow, lots of Lovecraft and Poe, bit of Ambrose Bierce, M.R. James, the usual suspects, and some living authors, and a lot of living authors have kindly allowed me to record their stories.
Okay. Well, you know, copyright 70 years after death, so even those who died have still got copyright. So, but it's still a good thing to do, and I think introducing people to new ways of looking at things, new stories, and so on and so forth is fantastic. And when you say you can't write, I don't like the word can't. I reckon you can write. You're writing for other people. You're a producer already, and it's my analogy about going to a room full of 5-year-olds. You can do things. Whether you write well or not, people experiment. So experiment in this time because you'll get better at it. So I think you should do that. I'm sorry to break. Does Jonathan know the news that his fan club thing was an accident?
I can't remember. I think he might do.
Well, he does know. I'll tell you what,
Oh,
we'll keep it as a secret between us, okay? Because I guess there's nothing worse. The only thing worse than not having a fan club is having one that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. But I love that as a story, and you are a super fan.
I did intend to do one.
I know you didn't.
Dear Andrew, I did intend to do one, but not so soon.
I see. How does that work?
If you would listen to me, darling, if you see what you need to do is line your ducks up before you start it.
Go on then.
So what I would have done if I'd been thinking straight was gathered a whole bunch of people together to agree to join it before I launched it, so that it would start off looking good.
Right.
You see.
So it was more about the intention was there, Julia. The intention was there, but before you launch your fan club,
timing was wrong.
You get all of the people all in a row, and then you have a big da da da. Here's the fan club. Okay, no, I get it. So that'll make Jonathan feel better. So if I were to edit this video, I would cut to that bit, and here's the fan club. But I don't edit these videos. We can follow the process. So it's going to be brilliant. It has been such a joy catching up with you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for being my guest. I very much hope that the Andrew Eborn button for the fan club pops up. I hope you can limit the membership to 1, so my mum can be it, and then it could be oversubscribed before we even start. That'll be brilliant. But for now, Julia Morgan, thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Take care. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic stuff. Well, that was Julia Morgan who joined me and has set up millions of fan clubs, intentionally and unintentionally, but she was going to get there anyway. Really, really good. If you want to be part of the show, write to me at LOL, that's LOL, at octopustv.com. If you've got any comments, put them in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Join that fan club. Actually, you can't because it's going to already oversubscribe the Andrew Eborn fan club, even if the button pops up unintentionally. Enjoy the rest of the day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.